Are the Cleveland Browns cursed? How many years have we been saying this for? Well, we're still saying it.
The Cleveland Browns are straight up spiraling into chaos, and it's almost too funny to watch. Word on the street is that Shedeur Sanders just got hit with a jaw-dropping $90 million offer to walk away, and now Cleveland's front office is sweating harder than a rookie kicker in overtime. Picture this, dumping every ounce of faith and cash into your so-called savior, only to find out another team just rolled up with monopoly money on steroids, ready to snatch him away. The executives are panicking, the fan base is on the verge of collapse, and Shedeur, he's probably already practicing that money dance in the mirror. This whole league just flipped into a billionaire soap opera, and sitting in the middle of the storm is none other than Shedeur Sanders. The Browns' golden ticket suddenly looks more like filet mignon being dropped into a shark tank, and the frenzy is just beginning. Because this isn't your average, hey man, here's some money, please join us. Nope, this is ruthless, franchise-shattering, bloodthirsty warfare. The offer on the table, $65 million guaranteed, endorsement deals so flashy they'd make Michael Jordan's sneaker empire look humble, plus the keys to run the offense however he wants. They're even dangling the chance to handpick his own coaches, and whispers say he could even rename the stadium Shedeur's House of Pain.
Person that understands business, and he will trade his quarterback for Sanders. Dallas is where Sanders is gonna be.
Imagine the Browns sitting there wide-eyed, realizing the guy they thought was their resurrection artist is being courted like the NFL's very own Beyoncé, and they might lose it all in real time. Meanwhile, Jimmy Haslam, the Browns' big boss, is reacting like somebody just told him the IRS is about to comb through every dime he's ever blown on failed quarterbacks. Sources say volcanic doesn't even scratch the surface of his meltdown. He's reportedly calling emergency meetings like it's the Cuban Missile Crisis all over again. The front office looks like a scene from a disaster movie. Phones buzzing non-stop, suits pacing the halls, interns sweating through their shirts. Imagine rats scrambling on a sinking ship, except these rats are rocking $5,000 designer suits and still can't figure out how to plug a single hole. It's chaos in Cleveland, and the panic is spreading fast. And how did we even end up here? Simple. One man, Kevin Stefansky, the so-called mastermind who somehow watched Shedeur Sanders torch defenses with a near 70% completion rate and still said, nah, let's stick with Dillon Gabriel. Seriously? That's not strategy. That's sabotage. Nothing screams winning football like running an offense that sputters worse than a rusty pickup trying to climb an icy hill. The Ravens game was the breaking point, the climax everyone saw coming. On national television, under the brightest lights, Cleveland's offense collapsed like a flimsy lawn chair while Shedeur was left on the sidelines doing cardio drills in his warm-ups. Baltimore defenders were literally laughing mid-game. Coaches were mocking on the headsets, and former players on Twitter were roasting Cleveland into oblivion. Even the Water Boys probably thought about switching teams on the spot. And yet, Stefansky clung to Gabriel like a toddler refusing to give up his favorite blanket, insisting his system mattered more than actual results. Naturally, Shedeur Sanders wasn't having any of it.
Look, I know we like the young brother Shedeur, but it's time to just stop caring about Cleveland again. Nobody care about Cleveland Browns anyway. Why would they list him as inactive? They don't want that boy on their team. In the NFL, they want the money, but they don't want him around.
He stormed straight into Stefansky's office, demanding answers, and insiders say the argument exploded almost instantly. Stefansky tried defending his precious system, but Shedeur fired back, pointing to the only thing that matters, the scoreboard. Moments later, Sanders walked right out of the facility without saying a single word to his teammates. The message, loud and clear. Cleveland's so-called franchise savior had officially hit his breaking point, and rival executives could smell blood in the water. Inside the locker room, the fallout was immediate. Offensive linemen, the ones risking their bodies every snap to protect him, were furious at the idea he might bolt. Receivers who had been padding their stats off his laser-accurate throws were suddenly panicking about fading back into irrelevance, and defensive players, already tired of covering for a laughably predictable offense, were ready to start throwing helmets against the walls. One veteran reportedly dropped the bomb. If Shedeur leaves, they might as well bulldoze the stadium and build a parking lot. The unity? Gone. The morale? Dead. This locker room turned into a full-on reality show overnight, with the season's biggest plot twist being, which side are you on?
The face of the non-starting quarterback in the NFL. He is that boy. He is that man. And with a lot, we're in week 2 of the NFL season.
But it wasn't just the players revolting. The fans completely lost their minds. Social media exploded with hashtags, Shedeur's name trending worldwide like a pop star scandal. Petitions demanding Stefansky's firing spread faster than Girl Scout cookie forms, and more than 100,000 signatures piled up overnight. Browns fans would rather freeze solid at First Energy Stadium than watch one more minute of Dylan Gabriel pretending to lead this offense. Season ticket holders started threatening cancellations like it was a political protest, and the anger only keeps building. The meltdown isn't just happening on the field, it's now spiraling into a full-blown economic nightmare.
I'll be honest about Shedeur. I think the plan is to destroy his stock. Not drafting him would have been too direct. Draft him to a crowded QB squad. Don't give him any reps, make up a reason to not start him, keep him on the bench, or cut him. The last thing teams want is for him to shine and make them look stupid for passing on him. The Browns owner clearly separated himself so that he wouldn't be on the wrong side of.
And if there's one thing NFL owners fear more than losing games, it's losing money. And let's be clear, Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's a walking ATM with cleats. Since the day he arrived, jersey sales shattered franchise records, ticket renewals shot through the roof, and suddenly Cleveland, once the NFL's forgotten middle child, became must-watch television every single week.
Get him ready. Just don't stick him out there. We're talking about fair training. You done had 3 teams. See, y'all ain't know this come from the inside. Somebody on the inside is sick of the Browns they sell. 3 teams ask for Shedeur. They want to train him. They want to start him. You know what the Browns did? Nope.
Try avoiding Shedeur highlights? Impossible. Now imagine losing him, because the team that signs him doesn't just land a quarterback, they basically buy the NFL's version of Apple stock. That so-called $90 million deal isn't a cost, it's an investment in a money-printing machine. So who's circling like vultures over a fresh carcass? Oh, take your pick. The Cowboys are drooling. Jerry Jones hasn't seen a shiny new toy this tempting since the day he bought a yacht with its own helicopter pad. The Dolphins are sniffing around too, because apparently winning with Tua just isn't flashy enough for Miami's taste. The Raiders? Please. Vegas lives on stars.
Run routes, try to get open, and you're like, and I feel bad for the Browns fans, because the one thing I know, having played in Cleveland, no matter how bad they sucked, those fans still came and sold out. Now, a lot of times they might have had bags on their head and they might have booed when things weren't going well, but they out there tailgating, knowing that they.
And Shedeur would be the perfect new face of Sin City. And the Jets, well, the Jets are forever chasing relevance like a dog chasing cars, and Sanders might just be the one car they finally catch. Multiple franchises are reportedly locked in a bidding war, and every new rumor keeps pushing that price tag higher and higher. This isn't recruitment anymore. This is a full-on hostage auction for the most valuable young star in the league. And through all the chaos, Shedeur himself, silent, dead silent, which somehow makes the whole storm even louder. Social media, dark, no training clips, no behind-the-scenes stories, no promo appearances, nothing. For a guy who normally floods timelines with posts and engagement, Shedeur's sudden silence is deafening. Those close to him say he's locked in, weighing whether to endure Cleveland's dysfunction or accept royal treatment somewhere else. And just to crank up the drama, veteran quarterbacks are reportedly calling him directly, telling him flat out, don't waste your prime years in this clown show, get out while you can. When Super Bowl champions are advising you to pack your bags, you'd better listen. Meanwhile, back in Cleveland, Kevin Stefansky's seat is hotter than an Arizona sidewalk in July.
I'm sick and tired of seeing how the Cleveland Browns and the NFL is treating Shedeur Sanders. This right here got me hotter than fish grease. This got me hotter than Texas on an August noon when it's 111 degrees. This right here is bull dookie. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to stay kid friendly. But this is crazy. Bro not even running practice squad. They say he not even practicing.
Assistant coaches are already distancing themselves, whispering about his stubborn streak, while coordinators polish their resumes like soldiers preparing for retreat. Everyone knows the truth. If Shedeur bolts, this entire coaching staff is gone. No debate, no rescue plan, just gone. And it's not just Cleveland's coaches sweating. Free agents around the league are watching this train wreck unfold and saying, nope, not signing there. Draft prospects, they're praying their names don't get called by the Browns on draft night, because once you become the franchise that chased away generational talent, you're no longer a team. You're a cautionary tale told around the league like a ghost story. Which brings us to the breaking point, the showdown everyone saw coming. The ultimatum has been dropped. Stefansky goes or Shedeur Sanders goes, non-negotiable. Now Jimmy Haslam is trapped in the ugliest choice of his ownership career. Fire your head coach mid-season, creating chaos, or let your superstar walk, creating catastrophe. Pick the right door, and maybe he's remembered as the man who finally figured it out.
This is what I want to tell y'all. The Browns think we are dumb. I mean, they think we stupid dumb. I have a problem. If you don't want something, let Shedeur go. If you don't want him on your team, if you're not planning on starting him, let him go. If you're not planning on treating him right, let him go. But don't get us wrong. We want Shedeur to be treated just like the...
Pick the wrong one, and he's remembered forever as the guy who fumbled away the only good thing Cleveland ever had. Let's be real. Shedeur Sanders holds every single card in this game. That $90 million offer isn't just cash. It's respect. It's validation. It's everything Cleveland refused to give him. Sure, the Browns can try to match the numbers, but they can't match what actually matters: organizational stability. And money doesn't mean a thing when your head coach insists on sabotaging his own star quarterback. Shedeur's already lived through that nightmare once, and he's not signing up for a sequel. The whole league is watching, because this saga isn't just about Cleveland, it's about power. It's about whether a player can flip the script and force change when a franchise refuses to do right by him. And trust me, other superstars are paying attention. If Sanders wins this standoff, it sets the tone for an entirely new NFL era. If not, Cleveland loses Sanders, loses the locker room, loses the fan base, loses sponsors.
The Ravens were planning to select Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round with the 141st overall selection. But when he found out, he got word back to the Ravens that he preferred not to go to a place where he would be competing and backing up Lamar Jackson. He wanted to be in a place that he could play. And so when the Ravens got that message, they pivoted, went a different direction with the 141st overall selection. And 3 picks later, the Cleveland Browns selected Shedeur Sanders, who will be in Baltimore today, where he could have been spending his NFL career if he were willing to back up Lamar Jackson.
Loses relevance and tumbles straight back into the abyss of NFL irrelevance they've been trapped in for decades. The ultimatum couldn't be clearer: Stefansky or Sanders. Jimmy Haslam has to pick between a stubborn coach who couldn't tell the difference between a Ferrari and a lawnmower, or the quarterback who just saved his franchise financially, culturally, and competitively. One choice is vision, the other is failure. There's no middle ground left. And the funniest part, watching the Browns scramble to pretend they had some long-term plan for Shedeur Sanders all along. Please, this is the same franchise that collects quarterbacks like kids collecting Pokemon cards. grabbing one in the first round, another in the second, another undrafted, just praying one of them shines like a holographic rare.
As a mascot at this point, because they know that people are buying jerseys. He's literally like he's in the top 5 of #1 selling jerseys in the league, and he can't even get any practice. Yo, listen, we need to start a hashtag right now called Free Shedeur. Hashtag Free Shedeur. This has gotten out of control. The way they treating the Sanders boys, this is hard.
If you can throw a ball and breathe at the same time, odds are you'll eventually take a spin on Cleveland's never-ending quarterback carousel. Translation? Cleveland is basically on its knees begging, please, please don't leave us. We'll even let you park in the owner's spot. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is probably stretched out somewhere, shades on, sipping something top shelf, scrolling through his phone like, $90 million? Cute. What's Dallas offering? What's Miami whispering? Who's throwing in a private jet? Because let's not kid ourselves. The NFL is business first, loyalty second. And Shedeur knows exactly what he brings to the table. He sells out stadiums, he moves jerseys by the truckload, and he dominates ESPN coverage like a one-man headline machine. Cleveland, on the other hand, they sell heartbreak, parking lot tailgates, and lifelong disappointment dressed up as tradition. And the audacity of the Browns acting like this is some kind of betrayal? Please! Betrayal is Cleveland's entire brand. They abandoned their own fans in the 90s when the whole franchise packed up and bolted to Baltimore. They crowned Baker Mayfield as a savior one year, then dragged him through the mud the next.
Or put him on the practice squad and somebody picks him up. He's going to come back to bite him in the butt, man. But this is asinine what they're doing to Shedeur Sanders, man. This is terrible. They're not even giving him an opportunity to run the scout team. They got Bailey Zappi. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Bailey Zappi running the scout team. He's getting more reps than Shedeur Sanders, and you drafted Shedeur Sanders.
They handed Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract worth more than some country's entire GDP, and then acted shocked when it didn't magically fix a thing. And now they're clutching their pearls because Shedeur might actually want to play in a city where the sun shines more than twice a year. Spare us the tears. Here's the kicker, pun fully intended. $90 million isn't even some crazy, unheard of number in today's quarterback market. If anything, it's starting to look like a bargain bin deal for a generational star. But the fans, the fans are the real victims in this circus, and they're about to explode louder than the dog pound on game day. Browns fans right now are living in full-blown denial.
Fast forward recently to Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, goes viral, but not for football, but for how he structured his contract. He had an equity clause in his deal with Gatorade. That clause basically said, I'm not just here as a name or a body. I want part of what's being built off of me. I want ownership in the outcome. So that clause essentially just preserved his interest. And he didn't walk away with just a one-time check. He walked away with his corrected status in the contract, and he claimed his equity.
Some are swearing this is just a rumor, while others are clinging to the fantasy that Shedeur loves Cleveland like it's some cozy, magical hometown. Let's keep it real. He doesn't love Cleveland. Nobody outside of Ohio loves Cleveland, and even half the folks born there pack up for Florida the first chance they get. Meanwhile, the rest are flooding Twitter with desperate posts like, he's part of the dog pound, he wouldn't leave us. Sorry, but 90 million reasons say otherwise. Now picture the meltdown if Shedeur actually bolts. Cleveland's front office would immediately start spinning it like it was their master plan all along. We're moving in a new direction. Translation, he dumped us, but we'll pretend we dumped him first.
The Ravens plan to take Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, but before Baltimore could turn in the card, the former Colorado star let it be known that he didn't want to be on a roster with Lamar Jackson, where he will be a backup. Another story from another anonymous source, man. What's going on? From Shedeur's perspective, right, obviously a lot of people thought he was a first-round pick. He slipped in the draft, went to the 5th round, but he had the mindset that he was going to come in there and compete for a starting job. And he knew going to Baltimore, he pretty much had no chance, right? Lamar Jackson is 28 years old in the prime of his career, 2-time MVP. I know some may argue Lamar Jackson's play style makes him age in years because most guys who play like that, dual threat guys, don't really play.
Then they draft yet another quarterback, hype him up as the savior, and replay the same sad storyline 3 years later. The cycle is as predictable as a Browns fourth quarter collapse. And let's be honest, do you really think Shedeur Sanders is letting his son rot in Cleveland when Miami and Dallas are dangling palm trees and blank checks in front of him? Not a chance. If Cleveland wants to keep Shedeur, it's not just about money. They've got to convince Deion that this franchise isn't a football graveyard. And good luck with that sales pitch. Watching Cleveland scramble has turned into its own guilty pleasure. It's like binging reality TV, but with shoulder pads and fumbled passes. These execs are probably holding emergency meetings at 2 a.m., scribbling vision statements on whiteboards, and brainstorming wild ideas like, what if we turn Lake Erie into a beachfront resort? Because nothing screams desperation like realizing the only reason people even show up to your games is already packing his bags. And here's the most laughable part. The Browns keep babbling about building for the future. Future?
Was saying, had some comments about Shedeur Sanders. They were not the most nicest thing, and we'll say allegedly. But now they're saying after this season, preseason game, the owner is saying he wants Shedeur Sanders to stay. And so now you have Coach Stefansky, basically, he got his boy Dylan, and he wants Dylan to be, the future of that team. But the problem is that you have the owner now saying after the preseason game that he wants Shedeur. And so behind closed doors, what they're saying allegedly is that Stefansky is trying to get Shedeur traded. That's why this alleged injury is coming up and things like that. They're trying to do everything in their power to just...
Cleveland's been building for the future since dial-up internet. Every single year, it's the same slogan, the same false hope, and the same collapse. Fans deserve better, but all they're getting is recycled pain. It's the same old promise every single year. Just wait, next year is our year. At this point, it's not even a rebuild anymore. It's a long-term science experiment testing how much heartbreak a fan base can endure before finally jumping ship. And now Shedeur's potential exit is just the next brutal chapter in Cleveland's never-ending saga. Rival teams, they smell blood in the water, and they're circling fast. Even Vegas could swoop in, and just imagine it. Shedeur Sanders under those neon lights, cashing monster checks, rolling dice at the tables, and turning the Raiders into must-see TV. While back in Cleveland, fans are stuck trying to convince themselves their backup quarterback doesn't look like a high school substitute teacher. Here's the cold truth. The Browns can throw cash, empty promises, and glossy press releases at this problem all they want, but deep down, they know reality. Cleveland isn't the destination, it's the detour. It's the pit stop on the NFL map that players drive through before they reach the city they actually want to be in. And Shedeur Sanders, he's not wasting time on the scenic route.
Shedeur Sanders is going to end up getting traded. He will not be with the Cleveland Browns for long. You can bank on that now. I'm telling you, Shedeur Sanders is going to get traded. He's not beating out all those guys in the QB room to start within the next 2 to 3 years. This year, next year, the year after that.
He's chasing legacy, endorsements, sunshine, and maybe even a Super Bowl ring, none of which scream Cleveland. But hey, Cleveland does have one thing they can always fall back on: tradition. A tradition of heartbreak, blown leads, and quarterback drama so repetitive it feels like deja vu every single season. The Shedeur saga is just the latest rerun in the league's longest-running soap opera. $90 million is on the table, rival teams are circling, and the clock is ticking. Cleveland, you're standing on the edge of the cliff, and it already looks like you're about to slip. Will it be renaissance or ruin, revolution or regression? From the outside, the choice looks painfully obvious, but on the inside, egos, politics, and ironclad contracts are twisting this into a nightmare, because this isn't just about football, it's about legacy, reputation, and whether the Browns finally learn from decades of failure or keep replaying the same tragic script. If Cleveland blows this decision, it won't just be another mistake. It'll be proof once again that no matter how much talent they stumble into, they'll always trip over their own shoelaces and faceplant right into the mud. This is their last shot to show they're not cursed, not clueless, not doomed to forever be the NFL's punchline. And trust me, everyone is watching. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. and I'll see you on the next one.